Perfect. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us today. So this is Cryptio's second customer webinar. This webinar has been put together by actually Tunde, who's here and has joined us. It will be hosted by myself as well as Tremaine, who's our lead accounting strategist, and Paul, our Web3 product manager. The topic of this webinar will be NFT accounting and reporting. And a lot of the features and a lot of the discussions we'll have today is really about Cryptio Colossal, which is the Colossal update, and all of the features that come with that. So we have a 3-blog series that you can read about it, but the core principle of Cryptio Colossal is really about auditability and data integrity. So we'll be discussing that throughout this webinar. The agenda for the webinar will be a product deep dive into NFT accounting and the Cryptio NFT module, new features that are about to be released in a very short term, including principal market selection, in-app sanity check, new chains, and managing spam tokens. And then to close, we'll have a Q1 quarterly roundup and a Q2 roadmap. Now, in the middle of these two, you'll have Q&A. So either drop your questions in the chat and it'll be answered during the Q&A, or just wait till the Q&A. Amazing. So I'm going to hand over to Tremaine. Tremaine, if you want to begin.
Yeah, thanks, Ash. Thanks everybody for joining us for our second webinar. Super happy to see a lot of familiar faces and new ones as well. So from my side, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the sort of overall landscape of NFT accounting, an overview of guidance, what we considered into building our NFT module. There's a lot of things here just in terms of differences between regular digital asset tokens and NFTs, and I think breaking those out is going to be super useful for everybody here. Very, very high level, NFT accounting functions very similar to digital assets in the context that they're both considered intangible assets, and a lot of the rules that come with intangible assets apply to both, such as cost basis recognition, revenue recognition, impairment treatment. One thing to highlight before we dive into the similarities and differences is that the non-fungible part of NFTs is really the key that drives a lot of the differences, because what that means in this context is that every NFT is unique away from others within the same collection or within the overall landscape. So you'll never be able to find exactly 2 NFTs that are valued the exact same way with the exact same traits. And that's where a lot of the challenges come in when we start to think about how do we value things and how do we do the accounting. Before we get into the differences, to highlight the similarities, so cost basis recognition is going to be the same. So same exact methodologies, FIFO, LIFO, weighted average cost, all of these things. All of this is tracked on a cost basis perspective. So when you purchase an asset, you record your NFT at cost. When you sell it, you calculate your realized gains and losses based on what you receive from that transaction compared to what your carrying cost basis was at the time. The key here to point out is that impairment will still affect both sides. So the same way you would do your impairment testing for, let's say, BTC or ETH or any digital asset token, it would also apply to your NFTs as well. It's a little bit trickier in the context of how you actually go about impairing the NFT, because there's no principal market that you would use to say compare your current cost basis to what the carrying value or what the market value should be. So what that means is you have to look into a couple other methodologies. And with that, I'm going to jump a little bit into the differences here. Valuing NFTs really comes down to 2 main concepts that we've seen in industry as a best practice, but there's also a couple other ones that I want to touch on. The two top ones are floor price, and that essentially means if you go onto any NFT marketplace or anywhere that you're able to purchase an NFT, what did the creator or the seller list this as? That's essentially what the floor price is at the time for an NFT collection. And the other method is last sale price. So essentially, what's the last visible public price that we can see an NFT was purchased for? We would use that as the most relevant cost basis or market value for what this is worth. There's a couple other ones, such as comparable sales, which if in the event that you have a large NFT collection, there might not be huge differences between each one. So you may be able to look to on it other NFTs within the same collection to help determine like some sort of market value. And in the way that we've built the module, as Paul is going to jump into shortly, you'll see that you have the option to not just look at floor price and last sale price, but there's also a custom option depending on what your business needs are, what works for you as far as your own NFT accounting process. Another thing to highlight here with the principal market side is that typically, you can look to, if you want to see what the price of BTC is, you pick whatever principal market you use, such as CoinGecko, it could be Coinbase, and you'd always have like a rolling market valuation tool that you can use for all of your assets. That will not apply at all to NFTs. And that's another thing that we want to highlight here. The last point is on amortization. And when we talk about amortization, this is another unique thing with NFTs, is that you may have some that are called held for use versus held for sale, which is typically what digital asset tokens are. And held for use NFTs could include anything like royalty payments that are attached to an NFT, which would then give it some sort of finite life that is tied to whatever this underlying revenue stream is. In the event that you do hold an NFT like this, you would have to amortize over the life of whatever the royalty payments are going to be paid out, some sort of schedule that is completely unique to NFTs, and it does not apply at all to digital asset tokens. So another key point here to point out as you sort of think about how do you structure your reconciliation process for NFTs versus digital assets. What we would recommend as sort of a best practice is to really look at these as separate processes, because there's so much nuance between how you would do the accounting for your ordinary digital assets. You never want to run into a situation where, let's say, you might be valuing them similarly, or you may forget to run an impairment check specifically for NFTs compared to digital asset tokens. The last point here is on upcoming regulation. So I think most of you here are probably familiar with the fair value change that's coming up under the FASB sometime over the next year for digital assets. One thing to note here is at the moment, NFTs are not included in that scope. So at least for the near future, and at least until we get some sort of change on that front, NFTs are still going to be under a cost basis accounting method until this switches. So that's something also to keep in mind as you're sort of preparing yourself for that fair value change. NFTs, you'd still want to maintain whatever your current process is, but you would want to transition all of your other digital asset tokens over to that fair value method. So now I think we're going to jump into how we built our NFT module within Cryptio, and I'm going to throw it over to Paul here to give you guys a deep dive.
Sweet. Thank you, Tremaine. Hello, everyone. I'm Paul, Web3 Product Manager with Cryptio. And I'm happy to present our new NFT module today. So for a bit of background on this NFT module, we've basically started to design this module 2 quarters ago. And our team has worked hard to build like a comprehensive suite of features tailored to help users manage their NFT operation, basically. So we've begun with conducting interviews with a diverse group of NFT power users, including NFT collection creators, NFT funds, NFT gaming studios, and essentially trying to understand the unique use cases in the NFT landscape and the back office needs from these different vendors. And additionally, we've collaborated with some accounting and audit partners, such as KPMG, essentially to design enterprise-grade features that will comply with accounting standards, or at least like the interpretations of these accounting standards, especially concerning the valuation of NFTs, which is a quite tricky subject. So now let's dive into the model. So I will present my screen for this purpose. Great. So first thing, when you are on your workspace and you're typically proceeding with importing your data in Cryptio by adding new sources, we will now be able to detect the NFT movements that are parts of your transaction history. So once you've imported your data and that we import your transaction, you're gonna now see in your transaction history that we do recognize NFTs, as you can see a couple of them here. And additionally, we apply a valuation to these NFTs based on the type of events. So during the import process, Cryptio detects the event type. If it's, for example, a mint event, is it a sell event, is it a purchase, is it a transfer? And Cryptio will apply a specific label to the transaction movement. And we'll also apply a specific valuation based on this event. So if we take the example of a sale event, here this NFT is sold against ETH, and so we can see like the right valuation applied here. So applying a valuation to these NFTs is essential for us to keep track of the cost basis and being able to provide the right unrealized gain and losses for NFTs. So if we take the example of this NFT here, we see that this NFT has been acquired for this price, and that's in a later transaction, this NFT has been sold, and so we can accurately compute the gain and losses for this NFT. Another interesting feature here, based on the categorization of NFT events, is the ability to filter your transaction by NFT event type. So when you open the filter module in the transaction page, you will be able to add a filter based on labels. And then you will see all the type of labels that are applied on your workspace. So if I take the example of NFT sale label, I will be able to only see my NFT sale transactions. And we can see all the gain and loss, the realized gain and losses applied here on all these transactions. This is the same if I want to only see my NFT purchase transaction. I will be able to see this different purchase. This is the same for mint, this is the same for transfers, etc. Another interesting features in this module is that we're starting to support some type of complex transaction with NFTs. So complex transactions are the type of transactions that have more than 2 movements, and where it's basically impossible to automatically consolidate this transaction with the general rules we had in our process. So we have to add specific rules to basically consolidate this complex transaction and provide additional information to understand what happens in this complex transaction. So looking at one example here, if we take, for example, this transaction here, we can detect that fees has been paid to the platform. So user has probably bought this NFT on OpenSea, and one of the movements of this transaction is the payment made to the platform here. Let's look at another example of these complex transactions that we're starting to rolling out. This one is a bit more complex. There's still a platform fee here, probably paid to OpenSea again. And one is what we call a contract fee, which is a fee paid to the NFT contracts of these NFTs. So we can essentially we can detect all different movements, categorize them accurately, and make this transaction consolidated, so it can be booked in accounting softwares. So another feature of this NFT model in the transaction page is what we call the flagging of spam, of NFT spam. So if I look for the label spam, NFT spam, I will see that the NFT spam are labeled here. So I know that I'm able to not review this transaction, or to treat them accordingly as they are spams. Okay. Now I'd like to show you a presentation of the new NFT page here. So this new page is essentially, we can call it a portfolio tracker that will display all the NFT that you are currently holding. So first thing are some metadata that are displayed here. So for example, we can see the image of the NFT, the name, the collection name, and then the next column here that we call inventory is essentially the acquisition costs of the NFT. Now, as you know, there's two main standards for NFTs, at least on EVM-based networks, which are ERC 721, the the most non-fungible token standards. But there's also ERC 1155, which are pretty popular, and this one are called semi-fungibles, which mean like that for some NFTs, a user can hold a balance that is superior to one of the same NFT. And in this scenario, in this inventory column, we will sum this the acquisition cost of this NFT. As you may have bought the same instance of an NFT at several points in time, so we will basically sum the acquisition costs and display the sum value here in this field. Now, the next column is what we call market value. So market value can be actually computed based on different methodologies. The one we display by default is the last price methodologies. So just to get back quickly on the inventory column here, this is essentially the price, well, the acquisition cost, so the fiat value at which you bought the NFT. And so let's say that this NFT here was the price was 1 ETH. Sorry, was 0.27 ETH. This is the same, obviously, this is the same value here that we're gonna show, 0.27 ETH, as this is the last price. But the fiat value that we display here is the current value of this token value. So in that sense, thanks to this current value of 0.27 ETH and the fiat value at time of acquisition, we can display here an unrealized gain and losses value, which is essentially the market value subtracted by the inventory value here. Now, for some use cases and for some businesses, users prefer to price price their NFT holdings based on floor price. And this is a feature that we offer to users by clicking on a row here. So let's say I take this NFT here, and I select this dropdown. I can actually choose to price this NFT with floor price. So if I click here, then you can see that the price has changed, the market value price has changed, and the unrealized gain and losses here has changed too. So now my NFT is priced with floor price, and the unrealized gain are computed accordingly. Another possibility is to add a custom valuation. This is essentially a feedback we got from mostly users from the gaming industry who usually apply some kind of internal valuation method to their NFT, mostly based on rarity threats. And so this is a way for them to add a specific valuation. So if I enter a value here, this will save this value. And we will again compute the unrealized gains accordingly. Another interesting feature that we have with this NFT page, so you have a bit more information on this in this drawer, such as the standard and the NFT symbol and the contract address. But you can also jump directly to the transaction page to essentially see the related transaction of this NFT. So if I go here, I will be able to look at the transaction, the acquisition transaction of these NFTs. So now I'd like to show you an upcoming feature that's gonna come in the next week. So I'm gonna actually switch to a beta version of our products. This is the reason why you don't see values here. But this is for you to know that soon you will be able to filter these NFTs based on collection, based on standards, or on wallets, but also on the valuation method that you choose for each NFTs. Another feature that's gonna be released soon is the ability to batch change the valuation of your NFT. So let's say for this one, I actually want to apply the floor price, then this will be possible here in this with this new feature. So yes, that's it essentially for this page. And another interesting features of this NFT module is this new card here that is exposed on the dashboard. This is for you to get a quick overview of your most valuable NFTs and their current value. Not that this value which actually change if you decide to change some valuation method for specific NFTs in the transaction page. So yes, that's essentially it for now for this NFT module. And so one important thing to keep in mind is that if your workspace has been created before the end of December 2022, in order to get this NFT appear into your transaction history, you will need to activate a feature in your workspace settings. So if you go to your workspace and you select one of your workspace that has been created before end of December 22, you will see by scrolling down this section, NFT transaction, which essentially lets you activate this NFT recognition feature to get a retroactive application of this NFT in your transaction history. So Yes, that's essentially it for the NFT module. And for the upcoming features and where we go with this module. So one thing is that for now, this NFT, we cover NFTs for Ethereum and Polygon, and we aim at adding support for NFTs on Arbitrum, Optimism, BSC, and Gnosis in the coming months. Additionally, we're looking to release reports specific to NFTs. So, for example, balance reports that will only show your NFT balance and the related unrealized gain and losses. And a third exploration we have on this module is the possibility to add some additional valuation methods, and especially what we will call advanced valuation methods, the ones that are based on rarity traits and more granular data, so that the market value can be a bit more precise. So these are the ongoing exploration and the roadmap for this module. So in conclusion, we're really excited to get clients to use and test these new modules. We are obviously listening to all feedbacks and appreciate any feedback that will help us to move forward with these different features. And we have created a support, an article in the support center that will help you to navigate through this module, and will essentially go through the different features that I've just mentioned. And the support team at Cryptio is obviously here also to answer to any question you will have on this module. So now I will, if you have any question for the features for the module, or also on the accounting side for Tremaine, we're happy to answer.
Yeah, I actually have one in from Andrea on what would be the reasons why you, as a company, would have to change NFT pricing and have different methodologies, let's say, for different NFTs. One point here is, depending on the type of company, and this is what I think we saw a lot during the discovery process, is there's a ton of different use cases for NFTs. And in some cases, you may have from one business operation where last price is more relevant as opposed to floor price, depending on if you're a gaming company or whatever the case may be. So what we realized we had to do is really give the flexibility to adapt between one, if I think the default for most companies will be last price, but in the event that, let's say, a different company might need floor price, whether you're a gaming company or whatever the case is, or if you need a custom price, if you want to consider things like comparable sales, rarity traits, things like that, really this was geared to give the flexibility if needed.
I see one question about the label. So question from Anthony, if the labels are auto added. So yes, these labels are the one I showed. So NFT purchase, NFT sales, NFT mint are automatically labels. That's also label of NFT transfers. And I think that's kind of answering the second part of your question, which is what is the difference of the NFT label only, not the sell or purchase? So you a wallet can receive or an NFT that basically that is not purchased. So this will be like we will label it transfer in, and if you're transferring out NFT to another wallet, we also label it automatically label it transfer out. So yes, all these labels are automatic.
We have another one from Fred on minted NFTs and how will these be priced. So similar to regular tokens, if you have an NFT that you're minting in-house at a company, these would come in at a zero cost basis until you establish some sort of, if you sell it later on and you have to recognize gains or losses, but at the time of minting itself, these will come in at zero cost basis.
Yeah, and one more thing here is that we also cover obviously the what we call paid mint. So in some instances you will pay for a mint, and so we will value the NFT based on the opposite asset that you've used for being this NFT. So let's say you minted an NFT for 1 ETH, then we will value the ETH price and apply this valuation to the NFT. And so this is essentially the same treatment as trades. So I see one question about NFT airdrops with a value of 0 that are not able to sync with QuickBook. So what if we will sell this NFT in the future for some money? How could we account for this sale if the NFT airdrop is not considered in our book from the beginning?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry, go Paul.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I could take this one. So if in the event that you have, let's say, a big airdrop NFT that's valued at 0, and you end up selling this for, let's say, 2 ETH, the full amount here would be recognized as a gain. But to your point, that line for the NFT in the actual transaction itself will be valued at 0. So while you would see, let's say, ETH revenue on one side and a full gain on the other side, you'd have a 0 value on that NFT line. What we recommend here is adding some sort of disclosure in your QuickBooks side, on your ERP side, that this sale is related to X NFT or Y NFT or whatever the case may be here, so you can actually capture the movement, since QuickBooks and I think a couple other ERP softwares don't actually allow lines with 0 values to sync directly.
The next question is about where does the floor price come from? So for now, we're relying on a data provider called Mnemonic. So after running an extensive benchmark on NFT data provider services, this one was the one we found with the most coverage and most accuracy. So we basically query the floor price to Mnemonic API. And one important note here is the floor price we display on our NFT page is what we call the floor price, the item floor price, and not the collection floor price. So there's 2 types of floor price, right? You have floor price per collection and floor price per item. So one per item is, well, based on our interpretation of accounting guidance, it's the one that should be used, and essentially is the lowest active listing of this specific item across all marketplaces. So this is the one Mnemonic is providing to us, and this is the one we display here on Cryptio. The next question is about if we automatically identify and tag spam NFTs. Yes, so this is something I've quickly showed in the demo, but really quickly. So yes, we actually started last week to again, based on Mnemonic NFT data API, we are able to see which NFTs are spam with a great percentage of accuracy. And so we're gonna, for now, apply this NFT spam label automatically to these transactions, because as you mentioned, when the NFT spams are really prevalent, and especially on networks with cheap gas fees, such as Polygon. So for now, this NFT spam flagging feature is available for Ethereum and Polygon, but we'll obviously extend this coverage when we'll recognize NFT on other EVM-based networks. And we'll also move forward on a more complete solution for actually giving the option to remove directly this NFT spam from your workspace totally. I will go through that later in the webinar.
Okay, cool. I think we're gonna take a break here from Q&A and jump into the next section, just to throw it back to Ash.
Cool. Cheers, guys. And thank you for your questions. If you have more, throw it in the chat, and there'll be another Q&A session at the end. Okay, cool. So let's have a look at new features coming on the horizon.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm actually going to take the first two here for principal market selection and in-app sanity check. So these are coming very, very, very soon, and we're super excited about these because we've had a ton of requests, not just from clients, but also from a lot of the industry conversations that we've had with, auditors and Big Four accountants and things like that, that especially on the principal market side here, this was something that we really should offer to our customers in terms of that flexibility of choosing their principal market. And what we mean here is essentially you moving forward, you'll be able to select the market that you feel is more appropriate to you to provide the pricing and valuations for all of the transactions within your workspace. So all the main players, think CoinGecko, Coinbase, etc. You'll be able to go in, and if for whatever reason the default of CoinGecko doesn't work for you, or depending on jurisdiction, if there's some sort of regulation that comes out that, or best practice that comes out that says, hey, maybe you should be using Coinbase instead of CoinGecko for a specific asset, because we will allow the flexibility not just on the workspace level, but also on the asset level. You'll now be able to choose that at your own will. All that flexibility will be there in-app in the product. So that's something that we're super excited to release. And the next one is the in-app sanity check. So this one has been a huge request from especially customers, where at the moment, the interaction with the sanity check is more report-based. And what we're going to be doing is moving that completely in-app. So for V1, it will be internal. So you still have to go through the process of working with your customer success manager. That will change, as Ash is going to get into later. But essentially, we're doing away with the reporting side for sanity check, and that will be completely in-app moving forward. And I'm going to throw it to Ash to jump into new chain. Or
I will actually take this one. Yes, thanks, Tremaine.
Yeah.
So in terms of our roadmap for new chains that we want to integrate, we've just released Agnosis chain, formerly known as XDAI chain. So this is our last addition to Cryptio, and we are soon about to release the Optimism layer 2 chain. So this one is we're pretty excited about this one, as there's a very big increase of operation and volume on this chain, but also because the integration of Optimism will help us to integrate any other instances of Optimism, such as the Base network from Coinbase. And then we're keeping we're doing some exploration on additional networks, and especially some additional layer 2s on top of Ethereum network, and starting with ZK Sync, which has been freshly released in mainnet, and for which we've seen a lot of traction, both from applications that port their protocol there and of usage. And the other one is ZK EVM, so an equivalent ZK layer 2 chains on top of Ethereum, conducted by Polygon. And the other chain that we explore the integration for is Solana. So that's it for the new chain integration roadmap. And regarding the spam token cleaner feature, so I've mentioned some of our already released features related to the spam flagging of NFTs on Polygon and Ethereum. But for this quarter, we really want to move forward on this issue with spam tokens. And so we want to extend this feature to also like fungible tokens. So essentially, we will flag fungible tokens as we do for NFT already. And then the next step will be to give you an option in your workspace setting to automatically remove or at least review and having the ability to remove the spam token from your workspaces. So it could be from your dashboard, from your transaction history, and from the different module like the NFT module. And this will give you the benefit to focus more on the actual legit tokens and to ease the user experience on Cryptio.
Cool. Thank you both for that. Right. So just before we close, I just wanted to give you like a Q1 roundup and Q2 insight into what is coming on the roadmap. I just wanted to highlight one thing. So audit readiness is a massive pain point that we've highlighted for crypto companies. We believe that, with the right set of tools embedded in your Cryptio accounts, you can be audit ready faster. And we can also provide the testing features that auditors can go through the audit with confidence. And so a lot of the features that we're building out is around this subject of auditability and data integrity. Now for Q1, what has been done, one of those things is that smart contract engine. So how can we automate the labeling and classification of events on chain? It's a big one, and right now we are supporting like thousands of smart contracts, and this list will grow and grow with Cryptio, I guess. The other one is NetSuite. So the NetSuite integration is live. So I can just jump to here. So here you can see NetSuite is there. This is V1 NetSuite. In the next 1 week, I believe we'll have V2 NetSuite, which will allow you to pull your chart of accounts, both on the parent company as well as your sub entities. Right now we pull in the parent company. So V2 in 1 to 2 weeks will be the entire NetSuite workspace. The impairment module. So impairment is live on Cryptio. We touched upon this in the last webinar. So if you want to go back and watch that one, we'll explain it in more detail. Also, our help center has everything you need to understand how to use this and how this works. Finally, also we have our monthly reconciliation report. So this report, actually built by Tremaine, as well as our engineering team. This report is a comparison report to summarize and reconcile the key areas of your monthly accounting activity. This includes changes in asset balances, journal entries, summarizing monthly activity, and transaction level detail view for the period that you want to close. So this is live on production as well. Finally, the DeFi module. So we touched upon this before. We now support Arbitrum as well, and we're supporting more and more chains. The DeFi module is in beta. It also gives you an insight into open and closed positions. And on top of this, that smart contract engine, auto labeling DeFi activity. So one of those activities, for example, is LP. So if you look, for example, at, let's take the example of SLP. So adding liquidity to, for example, Sushi Swap. Here you can see that we have a withdrawal of liquidity. So ETH and Radar, it's automatically labeled withdraw. LP tokens automatically labeled. Here we have another example of a deposit, so adding liquidity, so supply and the LP token. So all of this, again, for you to apply this historically, go to the Manage Workspace section and toggle on DeFi retroactivity. Cool. And then the other part of what happened in Q1 as well was the NFT module that Paul just talked about. Now, Q2. So Q2 really hammering home completeness and accuracy. We mentioned the in-app sanity check. So for a lot of you, we've been using the sanity check as a way to actually navigate the challenges of indexing on chain, as well as using connecting to exchanges, and so forth. So we are creating a completeness and accuracy section within the app, which is down here. And so the first iteration of it will be a sanity check, where we'll display, for example, this is a test environment, where we'll display the total discrepancy as a percentage, as well as a dollar value. But this first iteration really looks at the asset and wallet level, so balance. In Q2, we'll also be adding other components to that. So we'll be adding price analysis, as well as cost basis analysis. So it gives you a sense of the total cost basis errors that can happen and how to manage that. So instead of waiting for your account manager, your customer success manager to reach out to you and say, hey, you have this discrepancy, or are you going for an audit? Let me do a sanity check for you. This puts the power in your hands. So you don't have to rely on us too much on this. We give you the data and we make it accessible for you. Another feature that's going to be part of this completeness and accuracy section is a wallet profiler. So this wallet profiler, actually, I can just show you quickly. This is just a sketch to the mock-up. So the wallet profiler. So the wallet profiler is essentially a risk management tool. It shows you all of the chains that Cryptio supports and the number of imports that you have per chain. It will then also show you, help you detect any wallets you have not imported into Cryptio. So for example, for wallet A, you have this one, and you have imported networks, Ethereum and Polygon, missing network, Arbitrum. Do you want to import it? Click import. So this is the wallet profiler, ensuring that all of your data is collected. For many of you, you work in companies where you have engineers with wallets, different team members with wallets. When you get given that list, you need to have confidence that this is the complete list. So this is what the wallet profiler gives you. Another part of that is, which isn't really a good example right here, but it's an EVM compatible connector. What does that mean? It means you import one of your addresses into Cryptio, and we will say, hey, you have activity on Polygon on all of the chains we support, EVM wise. So Arbitrum knows, do you want to import these chains at the same time? You click import and we'll import all of your EVM activity. For the chains we do not support, we will tell you we don't support it, and give you a status so that you know, like, right, for this chain, I need to do a CSV. We will also be monitoring this for prompts and indicators for chains that we will support. Cool. So that will be a section right below sanity check. The other section we'll have is a reconciliation module. So this reconciliation module will give you essentially like targets and metrics to the completeness of, like, let's say a month, missing chart of accounts, missing prices, this type of things, to help you with that reconciliation. And we'll also provide you with a trial balance view, so you can highlight any discrepancies before you do the month-end close. I have a mock-up of how that looks like right now. So here you can see an example. So you have incomplete transaction mappings, transactions ready to be synced, sync transactions compared to the total transactions in your workspace, and then trial balance at the bottom. So if there's a difference there, you can dig in and understand, like, where's this difference coming from, and working on solving that. Cool. So that is the completeness and accuracy modules that will be coming in that section in Q2. Something else, so performance. Now, we've been focusing a lot of energy into auditability, and now we have performance as one of the key things we will be improving in Q2. We're dedicating a large chunk of our time just to performance. So on the performance side, we're looking to reduce source update pending time, reduce filters render, which means like the time it takes you to filter for a transaction. I mean, filter for, like, let's say a label or a certain certain type and from the time it gets to load. So our target is 2 seconds for about 1 million transactions. And also reduce label application time to about 5 seconds per 50,000 transactions. So performance, a big thing for Q2. Something else, our ops dashboard. So the dashboard, as most of you know and have been with us for some time, hasn't got as much TLC as everything else, but now we're focusing a lot more on it since we have the data and the data is of high quality. How can we put that into your hands? So an ops dashboard that will have several different iterations, but one of the first iterations will be for you to select a main label and a sub label. So for example, let's take the example of like payroll. So you can select a main label of Europe and a sub label of employee expenses. And then we will plot that onto a graph for you. So we can see total computation per label on a monthly basis and display that to you. And this will be the same for revenue and expense. Now, we were actually building the report version of this, but we're going to do it on a dashboard first, and then allow you to just click generate report and pull that report from the dashboard. Finally, Ledger Enterprise. Yeah, this is exciting. So, we have a direct relationship with Fireblocks. We support most of the businesses building on Fireblocks or using Fireblocks as a custodian. And now we have a very close relationship, and we'll be integrating Ledger Enterprise as part of this next custody rollout that we're doing. Cool. That's an insight into what's coming in Q2. Do you have any questions? Cool. So we have. What about Solana? Is that on the roadmap? Paul, data team, what about Solana?
Yeah, so Solana is definitely a network we're continuously looking on how to effectively integrate. There are several options available, but these options are really incomplete, or some of them are just pretty technically impossible based on the price. And so we've actually started discussion with the foundation, and we've also spotted a pretty promising alternative solution. So these are pretty intense exploration we're conducting right now, and hopefully we'll have an indexing solution and exposition of Solana data in the coming months. Yes.
Cool. Any other questions from what is coming and what has been shipped in 2023 so far?
Cool.
No? Okay, cool. Let's jump to the next section. Right, finally, so, if you find crypto useful for you, refer us to other finance teams that we can help. If you're an accounting partner and you see that crypto is adding a lot of value to you, we'll be happy to open a discussion to how we can onboard more and more of your clients. But yeah, ultimately, follow our newsletter, keep attending our webinars, and stay up to date with Cryptio. Cheers, guys. Cheers,
Thanks, everybody. And I know we went over slightly. I think we had originally booked a 45 for everybody who showed up. So super happy and thankful that you all stayed a little bit over with us, and hope you loved the webinar. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.